If you want to highlight your case for prosecution to make sure that you get the absolute maximum sentence possible and that the state throws everything they have against you, which of course you don't want to ever do, but I see people do it all the time. Here's what you do. You show up late in court. You argue with the bailiffs. You argue with the prosecutor. You don't listen to the judge when you're called up. You don't have an attorney, so that means you don't know what you're doing. You're asking for things that cannot be done, and you're making a nuisance of yourself. A bad attitude is treated back with a similar bad attitude, and the problem is the people you have the bad attitude with have a lot of control in the courthouse over your life. That is the judge, that is the bailiffs, that is the courtroom clerk, and that is the prosecutor. So what do? You show up on time. You dress well as you can afford. A nice suit, a tie. You yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. You do everything you need to do sycophantically to make sure that you're showing respect to everyone you deal with. You answer questions that you are asked, and you sit there and go through the process. Now, here's the problem. If you're not represented by an attorney, you may agree to some really bad stuff in your case that could have been a whole lot better. I typically call it the full harassment package. Now, not that anybody at the courthouse is trying to necessarily harass you, but there's a lot of things that can happen to you that don't necessarily need to happen to you, such as supervised rather than unsupervised probation, community service rather than volunteer work, fines instead of having those waived, court costs in separate cases instead of having those combined, any number of things. And of course, if you're not guilty, getting a trial where you have a real attorney who knows what he or she is doing, defending you and making sure that you don't get convicted. Again, this kind of stuff is important. It's the kind of stuff that I do every single day that anyone who is a professional in the courtroom knows how to do. I joke all the time, you can practice self-dentistry. I wouldn't recommend, if you have a bad tooth, pulling it with a pair of pliers you got at Lowe's, but you can do that. Same thing with law. You can run into the courtroom and you can play lawyer. The problem is it probably won't work out very well for you. And the good news is, when you got a situation, all you have to do is reach out to me. I'll tell you what I can do for you or send you in the right direction. Again, I'll do that for free over a text or a phone call to at least let you know what's up and what can be done and what the costs are involved in that. So don't be sitting around worrying about things that don't need to be worried about, or not worrying about things you do need to worry about. I'll help you get answers. God bless.